In this podcast series presented by Boss, we journey into the lives of inspiring creators, artists and athletes, unearthing the pivotal moments that shape them into the unique bosses and leaders that they are today. Join us as we go behind the boss. Hello, I'm Raven Smith. Welcome to the premiere episode of Behind the Boss. My first ever guest is Law Roach, the image architect behind some of the best red carpet looks you've seen in recent years. He works with Zendaya. She is one of the most amazingly dressed women on the planet, and we're going to really talk about her style and how that is constructed with her. He also works with Celine Dion. Again, an absolute legend, need I say more. He is a man of the TV. He has been on Legendary, and he's also been one of the judges on America's Next Top Model. Here we go. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much.
It's a total honour to have you here today.
Very well, okay.
I have a zillion questions, but I thought we should start at the beginning. Just tell me a little bit about your upbringing in Chicago and falling in love with clothes.
Yeah, well, I think I always give it to my family. My grandmothers, they both had their own ritual. On Saturday night to prepare for church on Sunday morning. And I just remember being so, entranced with this processes that they would go through.
What's the process?
So it was, they would take a bath and, put rollers and curlers in their hair and paint their nails and lay out the clothes, choose the outfit for the next morning and the accessories, and everything was pressed and, ironed. We ironed back then. So all those things, was done. And I just used to watch that week after week, and the way they transformed, when they put the dress on and everything was the makeup and the lipstick and the final spray of perfume. It was, and the way I think what I was seeing was the power that fashion had to transform someone and transform them. And the way they walked out after the process was complete. And I just thought that, I just remember that, and remember watching the way the strut changed and the way the head went a bit higher. And it really impacted me.
I don't want to go straight to Zendaya, but where do you start dressing someone who likes Zendaya, or putting that, architecturing that outfit?
Well, she and I have been together for so long now, so it's really, really easy. I know her like the back of my hand, and she me, so the way we collaborate is a bit different because, it's my longest collaboration.
Wait, how old was she when you met her?
I met her when she was 13, turning 14. Yeah.
So real, baby Disney.
Yeah, baby Disney. It was the first season of Shake It Up.
Wow.
When we met. Yeah. So I've been with her for a long time.
So, and how has her approach changed?
Well, I think, me meeting her and starting with her when she's so young, I've been there as she's grown and become a woman. So, of course, the decisions and the input that a 25-year-old woman is going to be totally different from a 13-year-old girl. So, it's just been a growth, a beautiful story.
Where do we go with this? There's so many different strands
to
being
spit it out.
A young black woman, and you being a black man in this industry.
A young black woman as well.
Yes, these two young black Thelma and Louises making their way through women. Fashion. Yeah. But that is a factor in every aspect of that process of going from where you've both been to where you are now.
Yeah. No, it was tough. It was really tough in the beginning. No one knew me at all, and people really didn't care about her. And us both coming into the industry with the realness of being black. It was, who's this black boy from Chicago that's asking for these dresses for, this little black girl from Oakland that we don't care about. So that dynamic and that dilemma really was tough in the beginning.
But I think I know what your strategy was for dressing. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. So, I came to this industry not without having a mentor or, people from no one's lineage. I was never an assistant or intern. So I just had to learn the game, basically. Yeah. And what I learned is that it wasn't so much that people didn't like us. It was, the name of the game is putting the dress on the girl who can get them the most press.
Yeah.
And so what I did in the beginning is I would only put her in things that other people had worn already.
Yeah.
Because back then the weeklies, Us Weekly and all, they did who wore it best, and people paid attention to that, and the designers paid attention to that. And so I would do that, and I did it once, and you know, she won. It was like 92% to 8, like Zendaya. And so I was like, okay, so let me keep doing this, and it worked. People started to pay attention to this young girl who was like in the weeklies every week, wearing these clothes better than, you know, people twice her age.
So often with fashion, that the cardinal rule is to wear something someone else has worn, but your strategy is to do exactly that.
Yeah.
Because the comparison creates the story.
It creates the story, and it created buzz.
Yeah.
And it worked. People started to really, really pay attention.
What's interesting about someone like Zendaya is it must be hard to manage the... I mean, obviously women have lots of expectations of how they should look, but it must be hard to keep pushing out of the expected, because she does something that is like, every time.
I think what's beautiful about us, we've kind of just become storytellers. It's not always about the clothes, it's about the story we're trying to tell.
Yeah.
And we have a partnership, and I'm big ideas and she's small details. That's what we call each other. And so I'll come with this big script of like, this girl, she's this, and this dress is this, and she'll take that and she'll tailor it to her. You know, so it's about the story. It's always about the story. If you pay attention to the work, you'll see references in almost everything we do. Like, nothing is just, you know, just because it was a great dress. It's the hair, it's the makeup, it's, you know, the way she emotes when she gets to the carpet, or she becomes whoever the story is, and the story is privately between us. Sometimes, you know. And she'll go and she'll be whoever that girl is, or whoever we think she is.
Let's just go back a bit more to the beginning. What, if anyone, gave you good advice when you were starting out?
Well, a woman that became kind of like a mother figure to me. I was still in Chicago, and I was still bartending, and I would come to LA on the weekends and then go back, or during the week. I was actually come during the week and then go back on the weekend so I can bartend to support myself. And she just told me, she said, if you're going to win the game, you have to be in the stadium. And when she said that, it just rang so loud to me. So maybe a couple months later, I moved to LA, and it's like, okay, if I'm gonna win the game,
let's
I gotta
play ball. Yeah, I think there's this like common sort of feeling of trying to be everywhere all the time, but I think it's smart to just be in front of the right people.
Well, I had to come to LA because that's where the industry was for me.
A lot of people get like an intern that while they're getting supported, or an assistant, and then progress from there.
I just didn't have the opportunity to do it.
No,
I didn't have. Or, you know, when I came to work. You know, I didn't necessarily come to learn. I learned while working. I learned on the job, you know. So I just didn't have the opportunity. I didn't know anybody like, hey, can you teach me this, or can I unpack boxes for you? And I just thought that I was ready, you know, and I would figure it out, because I'm from Chicago and I have a hustler spirit. So you can put me anywhere and I'm gonna figure it out, you know. So I think that's what I did, right?
Hustler spirit is the one.
Yeah.
Apart from kind of was it your grandma getting ready on a Sunday? Who were your other inspirations at the time?
You know, it's funny because I was always really inspired. I don't know where I saw like Cher and Charlie's Angels and Grace Jones, but I can't pinpoint the exact moment when I saw them, or how I saw them, or how I was introduced to them, because we didn't read fashion magazines in my house. We had Essence and Ebony. You know, we had those. You know, but we didn't get Vogue and Harper's and all that stuff. So I'm just trying to figure out like when this happened. But it's like, I just feel like Cher and Grace Jones have always been in my mind, and in the back of my head, and in my repertoire. And I just don't know how or when I was introduced to that.
They're like celestial beings.
Maybe. Yeah.
They are. I mean,
yeah.
They're gods.
Yeah, and I got a chance to dress Grace Jones.
Did you?
I did.
How did that go?
It was... Can I curse? It was fucking amazing.
I don't think you can.
It was freaking bleeping amazing.
It was bleeping fantastic.
Yeah.
How do you walk into a fitting with Grace Jones?
With so much anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she walked in the Tommy Hilfiger show that we did in Paris, and she and I had to go and take her clothes, and and have a fitting with her and style her.
Yeah.
And it was incredible. It was just, she's everything that you've ever fantasized her being.
Yeah.
Yeah, even at 70.
Yeah, part of my fancy of Grace Jones is that she's terrifying.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I love about her.
Yeah, but
she doesn't really mince her words.
She was incredible. And we came out the room, you know, bare-chested with a glass of champagne.
Did she?
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm so
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
It was so iconic.
Yeah.
It was so iconic to the point that when I left, I went to the bar, and I cried.
Yeah.
Like, I literally cried.
I've got chills just thinking about that for you.
Yeah.
But it's Grace Jones.
It's Grace Jones.
When you're doing a thing for Grace Jones, do you just have like one look in mind and you hope that she loves it, or do you have a rail of 20?
Oh no,
and you're just like,
we had a full rail, and I just
Yeah.
kind of like let her go to the rail, and I just stepped back.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It was her journey through the garments.
Yeah, and she actually brought me into it, and asked me what I thought and everything, and I stuttered like a child.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so beautiful, and I think I cried because, what this job has done for me and taken me, that was never I just wanted to meet her. Like, I just wanted to be in the room with her, and for me to actually physically touch her and to say that I dressed her.
Yeah.
She's on everybody's mood board, every photo shoot, you know what I mean? So just to have gratitude to what this job has done for me and where it's taken me is what brought me to tears, I think.
And I also think, of course, you work with brilliant people, but you don't necessarily, in your career, assume you're going to work with your bleeping icon.
No. Celine Dion, same. Yeah.
Celine Dion!
Yeah.
You brought her up, so I don't have to.
Yeah.
Tell me about working with Celine Dion.
I've been really fortunate to work with like a few of the divas, I've worked with Mariah as well. I did Mariah for a minute, you know. Celine was, I think when people think about my career, they think about Zendaya and Celine Dion.
Yeah.
And that was a dream that I had never dreamt, and I got a call, and my manager at the time was basically said, I got a call, Celine wants to speak to you. And I'm like, Celine who? And, and she was so casual about it. She was like, Celine Dion. I said, what? Like, wait, back up. Like, I had her replay the entire phone conversation.
Yeah.
Like, what did they say? Tell me everything, word by word. And it was just like, and when I met her, she invited me to show in Vegas and to, and then I met her after the Billboard Awards. Yeah. And we talked about fashion, and it was really funny because I came in the room, and she said, she was sitting on the sofa, and she said, in her dressing room, she said, have a seat. And I was like, and I could only sit next to her, and I was like, next to you? And she said, yeah, is that okay? I said, is it okay for you?
Yeah.
So it was just like this thing, and she was quite kind, and we had a really good conversation.
But you're part of the reason that we are giddy about her again, because she was Celine Dion, the singer.
Yeah.
People loved her, Titanic.
Yeah.
And then someone put her in a Titanic top, and everyone was talking about her relentlessly.
Yeah, and the thing about it is when I met, so after that meeting, I got a call the next day, and it was like, Celine would like you to come to Paris with her for a couple months and just do her everyday wardrobe. So I'm like, cool.
Okay, fine.
So,
As you do.
And so I went, and my first fitting lasted probably like 6-7 hours.
Yeah.
She tried on every single piece of clothes that I brought, and she laughed, and I was just like, and then I got a chance to see the way she interacted with the clothes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, she's really cool. Like, I fell in love with her as this other being that we never got a chance to see. And so what I wanted to do, what I made my mission was for people to understand that she wasn't as old as we thought she was, because she had been around so long. So I was like, Celine's what, 60?
Yeah.
And she wasn't. She's, a couple years younger than Halle Berry and J-Lo, and when you put it in that perspective, I wanted the world to see her for, where she was in her life and her love for clothes and fashion. Yeah. Yeah, she taught me so much.
Mate, I feel like she has so much fun with her clothes.
She loves them.
Yeah.
She loves them, and she collects them, and she cherishes them, and she archives everything she wears. She owns everything she wears. Even when I would borrow something, she would go back and she would buy it, not only because she wanted it, but she also knows that she's a big supporter of the industry of fashion, you know. And she's very cognizant of that. So they'll sell it to her, she'll buy it, you know. Yeah. So she's putting back into a place that she really loves a lot.
What did she teach you?
So, this is a great story. I don't know if I ever told this story out loud, but she taught me how to see every flaw in something in seconds. Because what was happening, I would fit her, and she's done a million fittings, right? So she'll put on a dress, and she'll tell you everything that's wrong with the dress. She's like, well, the hem needs to come up, and the waist needs to come in, and the arms the sleeve is a little bit too long. And so what happened was, that happened a couple times, so I felt useless in a way. So I trained myself to be able to see it before she saw it. Yeah. So I would come in and we'll do a fitting. I was like, oh, the hem is too long. I was like, can we take the waist in and can we bring the arm up in the collar? So I had to be quicker than her so that I can impress her, in my opinion, and so also that I can add value to the situation. Yeah. So now, when I put a dress on, I can see it in seconds.
You see the nips and tucks.
I can see it all right away, and and I think my clients are really impressed with my eye for detail, and I got that from Celine.
Just tell me about the Titanic top, though.
We're
Was it on a big rail, and you were like, maybe she'll go towards it like an iceberg?
So what happened was that it was sold out. We're talking about the Vetements Titanic that
it's
Demna
like
did.
Leo and Rose.
Yeah,
Leo and Rose.
Yeah. So I had an idea, and so I tried to find it. I tried to buy it. It was nowhere. So I wrote them, and they gave me one out of the archive. Yeah. And I literally had it for a couple weeks, and it was sitting there, and I was like, you know what, I'm brave, because I thought she was going to think it was, too campy.
Yeah, it's a real fine... Yeah. The brilliance of it was the fact that she wore it without it feeling like she was taking the mick out of... Yeah. It was like... It was irreverent and reverent at the same time.
So I finally worked up enough courage. Mine was just like a week into my new job, right? I don't even want to lose my job. Yeah. So I showed it to her one day, and I was like, what do you think about this? And I was like, would you wear it? She's like, well, I'm going to wear it today.
Yeah, okay.
Just like that.
She just knows.
Just like that. So we put it on with some jeans, a pair of jeans, and I think she was wearing some Gucci shoes, and I forgot what the bag was. And she wore it, and she walked out, and the world went crazy. In my opinion, it was one of the first viral fashion moments on social media.
Yeah.
It was the first time people had, there was a moment like that.
Yeah, but it's such a savvy styling choice, in the same way it's savvy to dress Zendaya like other people. It's a master stroke in getting people talking about it, but it doesn't detract from the thing itself.
Yeah. It comes from a place of not caring what people will say or think, right? It comes from a place of just enjoying the work. Yeah. And knowing, and my ultimate goal is to make whoever I'm dressing feel good. It's not always, people get confused, and it's like, oh, you have to make them look good. But for me, it's about the way I make them feel. And if they feel good, they'll look good. And so that's really what everything comes. I'm not sitting around like, oh, we're going to go viral. Or it's really like, this is something that may turn into a story or may not, but when she put it on, she felt it. She loved it. Yeah. She thought it was the coolest thing ever. Yeah. And it was close to the 20-year anniversary of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it made sense.
I think there's just two types of viral. One is like baits you because it's kind of salacious or rude or nearly naked, and one is because it's genius. Yeah. Well,
it was 2017, so that's changed, but I like to...
Yes.
I'm going to claim it like I gave the world the first viral fashion moment.
Tick. And many more since. Can you tell me a bit about Deliciously Vintage?
Sure.
Where did this idea come from, and how did it help?
It came from my grandmother. So my grandma, after church, I gave you the ritual before church, my grandma Eloise, but after church, it's so nostalgic for me. Like, we'll go to church, she'll put dinner in a crock pot, a slow cook. And so after church,
can I just say your eyes rolled like you were tasting the most amazing thing ever?
It's just the memories, Yeah. And after church, we would go to thrift stores, and she called it junking. She was like, we're going to go junking.
Yeah.
And so she collected salt and pepper shakers and plates, and then she'll go to the and maybe find a dress or, you know, a handbag or something. And I just watched that, you know, and I watched that. And so it left me for a while, but, you know, I end up back in the thrift store because, you know, I wanted to find something cool for myself. You know, you go through that vintage stage. And I actually started picking up things for, you know, dresses here and there, a handbag here and there. And I had this collection, and then I started to sell it to my friends. Yeah. And then that led into, you know, the brick and mortar store in Chicago. And my fashion career, really.
Is that the one that Kanye came to? Okay. How was that?
It was... It was great, you know. Kanye in 2009, the Amber Rose era,
a glorious era.
Yeah, it was. I mean, so that visit put us on. You know, TMZ picked it up, and all these stories. People wrote all these stories about it, and so stylists would call and it was like, "Hey, I saw Kanye was there. You know, what do you have? You know, from around the world. Like, do you have anything like?" Blah, blah, you know, whatever. And so that's what made me understand that being a stylist was a real job. Yeah. Yeah.
What's like the most high pressure situation you've been in?
They're all high pressure situations. It's always something. You know, like the dress is on its way from Paris and FedEx has lost the box, or there's a storm in Texas, and so, you know, it's always something. It's always something. Always something.
Do you have a big team that helps you manage that, or is it
do. There's no way I can, you know, I run a global business. Yeah. My business is global, and, you know, I'm really proud to say that it's a multi-million-dollar business. Yeah. And so, I have a huge team. I have people who give me so much. I have assistants that give me so much of their life and deal with the pressure with me. That I really, really appreciate, and I can't do it without them.
It's incredible that you've got this. I mean, I know everyone who's successful has a multi-million-dollar business, but you don't, like, come from a life of privilege.
No privilege at all. None.
So not one single
incredible. Piece of, not one crumb of privilege.
Yeah, but all that interning is paid for by someone's parents, you know?
Hopefully. Yeah. And that's, again, one of the problems, I think, in my industry is the people who can afford to come somewhere and work for free for years to learn the craft, you know, they look a certain type of way. Yeah. You know, people, I don't know any kids from where I'm from that they can come and move to LA and not work. You know, the whole thing about getting the experience is that's your experience. Yeah, that's, you know. So there's a huge discrepancy, for lack of a better word, of who get the opportunities to learn this job. Yeah. And, you know, and to become successful at it.
Isn't it normal that people hire people that look like them?
Absolutely.
So it kind of continues
It continues the cycle.
How do you feel that can be challenged, or what do you do in your general practice that it changes the shape of?
Well, anytime I get an opportunity to talk about it, it's like, you know, if you are in a position of power or privilege, give that to someone who doesn't look like you. Yeah. It's kind of simple when you think about it. Give those opportunities to someone who doesn't look like you, who does not come from where you come from.
Yeah. I'm hoping that this movement towards different body shape, well, more normal body shape and more diversity within casting, I hope it's just not a trend. Yeah. That's my fear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think it's, yeah. All of it, yeah. That's my fear about all of it.
Yeah. Do you have any other fears?
I don't have any fears.
You talk about there being no fear. Tell me about fear in your childhood. What, like...
I mean, I had, like, real fears, like fears of not knowing I'm going to sleep, or knowing where my next meal is going to come from at certain points, you know. So getting to Hollywood, like, I just don't have any fears. But I don't have a fear of failing. Yeah. You know, I said this in another interview, like, I'm know where I'm from, like, I can go back there and I'll figure out another way of being successful if this doesn't work out for me. Yeah. You know, I just don't have any fear. Like, I know, I'm also, Oprah said it, a master manifester. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I can see and visualize and feel on the inside things that I want, and they'll come to me.
Yeah.
So I never have a feeling of failure or
Yeah.
fear. You know, so it's just like it's actually a quite beautiful thing. You know, as I'm saying it out loud, it's like I'm not afraid of it. You know, I'm not afraid of success. I'm not afraid of failing. I'm not afraid of anything.
I know that you didn't have a lot of stuff or
Yeah.
resources, but you don't strike me as having had an unhappy time.
I mean, the thing about growing up in an environment and the way I grew up is it was the normal.
Yeah.
Like you didn't know that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You'll see things on television and you knew you didn't have those things, but you know, you grew up a certain type of way and then your friends grew up the same type of way.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
your
yeah.
community was all the same. You know, I had a best friend that we didn't even, like our other friends, we didn't even know that they didn't have a refrigerator.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't
Yeah.
until until I was spending the night and like, oh, go out on the window on the ledge because we live in Chicago, it's, you know, cold, and get the milk. You know, so it's like
Not
I'm
funny,
like, we
but
like
makes sense.
we like-
That's the best way to
they
keep
didn't
something
have a
cold.
refrigerator. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's just you were so busy living. You didn't know. I didn't know that it was as bad as it was.
Yeah, and that's-
until I got out of it and looked back and I'm like, oh, I've been through some things.
Yeah, absolutely. And it must be quite affirming to know that you can survive adversity, for want of a better
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
to describe it.
I guess you can say it's a fear. Maybe I do have a fear. I have a fear of going back there.
Yeah.
You know, I have a fear of being poor again.
Yeah.
You know, but I work, so that ain't gonna happen.
But even, yeah, and I think there's something about when I'm not working that I feel like I should be working.
Yeah, all the time.
Like I want to,
Yeah.
I don't want to stop. Doesn't matter what I've achieved,
I'm
I don't
taking
want to stop.
all the jobs.
Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about race. You have achieved things that a lot of black men have. I don't know many other image architects who are kind of like.
Well, there's only one because
Yeah.
I own the trademark for it. I'm the only one in the world because I own the trademark.
Yeah.
It's a trademark title.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not a lot. It's not a lot of us at all. You know, if you look at it in the context of celebrity styling in Hollywood, only not even a whole handful.
Yeah. What's your advice for anyone who looks more like us trying to get into the industry?
If you have the ability and the resources to take the route of working for somebody or interning for somebody who you respect and who you like their work and you want to learn the business from them, then take that opportunity.
Yeah.
I made a lot of mistakes. You know, I made a lot of mistakes.
Like what?
Well, financially,
Yeah.
was the biggest ones.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't understand about taxes. So my first year, I made a decent sum of money and I didn't pay any taxes.
Okay.
And then when I got the tax bill, I'm like, oh, I'll pay it
You're like,
when I make it again.
gosh.
And it doesn't work
Yeah,
like that.
no.
You know, so financially, I made a bunch of mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that does come from like not having money when you're growing up. You don't rich people know how to manage
Right. We didn't have
cash, and they also don't have to worry about
and nobody
spending
paid
in the same way.
taxes when I was growing up. Like tax return season was like, you know, it's like when people got their tax money, they tax with that.
Yeah, when
you
the
know, so
money
that's
came
what I
back.
thought it was. You know, but no.
You were like, wait, this is
And
a
I
bill?
literally went to the ATM one time and I had no money in my account.
Yeah.
And so I went, you know, panicking like somebody fraud. They saw my money and
Yeah.
they were like, have a seat.
They're like, hang on.
They're just like, no, the IRS has your money.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that was a lesson.
Okay. Good to like, pay your taxes, kids.
Pay your taxes.
What do you think is the kind of key personality trait that's got you where you are today?
Confidence.
Mm.
Yeah. I have always been confident.
Yeah.
Like even growing up, you know, being, you know, a really feminine boy around the people I grew up with. Like I've always been myself.
Yeah.
Like to the point I did a special and it was a coming out special. And in the middle of it, the producer was like, you've actually never came out. I was like, I was actually never in,
Yeah.
you know? So I've always lived in my truth. I've always been the same type of person. I've always had these mannerisms, but I would also, you know, fight you know, so I was still no fear again, you know? And I think the confidence is what made people in my neighborhood and the guys in my neighborhood want to protect me because, you know, I was rare then. Yeah.
Let's just talk quickly about a bit of image architecture. What are the key components to putting a look together?
Well, for me, it always starts with the energy of whoever I'm dressing, right? And you learn, you know, it only takes like maybe one fitting with me. So this is my process. When I get a new client, I'll have a huge fitting the first time. Like there'll be rails and rails and rails and rails.
Yeah.
And I ask them to go to the rails and go through every rail and pull out everything they love.
Yeah.
But also pull out things that they hate.
Yeah.
That they would never wear. I'm like, take it off the rail, show it to me, tell me you hate it, and let's talk about why you hate it.
Yeah.
So what it is, and that takes time, right, to do all that. So we're learning each other. I'm learning them at the same time. They're getting a chance to feel my energy and be around my energy and me theirs. And then I'm also watching the nonverbal cues.
Yes.
When they pick up a dress, they like, I see, you know, the excitement or I see a little twinkle or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm just watching all those things and I'm you know, logging it into my brain.
Yeah.
Like, okay, she likes blue.
Yeah.
Or, you know, she likes a longer skirt, or like she hates green. And so the next fitting is a little bit more tailored, right?
Yeah.
So I'm bringing things that I kind of felt that they like. And so when they come, they're like, oh, I love 20 out of 25 dresses. Yeah.
What happens next? Where does this all go?
You know, I wanna really, really do some collaborations where the people get a chance to feel me and to know, meaning like, you know, I still feel like I'm hugging and helping the masses.
Yeah.
Like I want to dress the masses. Like I want to dress all the girls. So, you know, I'm a niche, right? You know, I do this really high caliber level thing.
Yeah.
But I want to be there for the people. Like I want to be in there with the people. So I'm looking to do some of those this year, like some collaborations like that. And I also have a dream of being a creative director of a house.
Great.
Yeah, I really want to do it. I really want to do it. I want to try it.
Get a bag on the seat, so like for me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the dream, right?
Yeah.
You just
I think it's the transition, right? If you do it and you hit a certain level, you have to think about what's next, because I can't physically do this for the rest of my life. And so it's like, how do I take this skill set and leverage everything I've been able to do? You know, like, I think young girls all across America and maybe even globally, hopefully, would love to be dressed by the person who dressed Ariana Grande you know, Zendaya, and me taking that and giving them a little piece of that dream and that fantasy.
Yeah, I think you have this system now where you're dressing one woman at a time, as it were, and that ripples out. But you can start the ripple.
And I say this all the time. Like, I even say it I'm like, I'm for the people.
Yeah.
Like, don't put me on a pedestal and perch me up somewhere. And, you know, I want to be there. I want to be in it. You know, I think you can only be great as long as you stay in it. That's how you stay relevant. You know, I go and walk down the street and I go to Target and I just watch and see what the girls are doing and be inspired by the women. And I want to dress all of them. I want to feel that.
Yeah. No, I love that. I just don't think you'd be where you are today if you just put pretty girls in pretty dresses.
It's so boring. I say that all the time. Sometimes you got to put the pretty girl in the ugly dress.
Too right. On that note, thank you for joining me.
Oh, thank you for having me
today on the podcast.
This was great.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to Behind the Boss with your host, that's me, Raven Smith. If you want to find out more about what it takes to be a boss and the stories behind the inspirational figures of today, new episodes of this podcast are out every 2 weeks. Make sure to tune in.